main character, and I grew up in a town like Stars Hollow, so I really felt connected to all of this. But the actors were, just wonderful, and to work with them all. It's just more difficult when you come in much later, unless you're George. And yeah, it was just wonderful to see how they all grew. And we'd be shooting sometimes scenes like at 4 o'clock in the morning, and you're just like can hardly stay awake. But then we get silly and goofy and just laughing, and it was really fun, even though you're in kind of dire circumstances sometimes. But it was very, very enjoyable in that regard, and you just had a connection that you always have.
We are all thrilled to hear that. And you both worked a lot with Edward Herrmann as well. Do you have any fond memories of being on set with Edward Herrmann, who plays Richard?
Oh yeah, Ed and I, he always would joke with me. I left the show briefly to go do a Coen Brothers movie with Tom Hanks, Lady Killers. I played a minister in that, and Ed, I think had done 1 or 2 Coen Brothers, so he would come to me and say, "We're the only 2 actors done a Coen Brothers movie." But Ed was great. He would always be doing his crossword puzzles, and just such a gentleman, and just a great guy to be around. He was, the patriarch of the show. Everyone respected him and just loved him, and it was really a tremendous loss for all of us. And I remember the first day in the Netflix
Revival.
Yeah.
A Year in the Life,
when we came onto the set, the Gilmore House, and we went into the living room, and that was the big portrait of Ed. And I know Lauren kind of got choked up, and all of us were kind of like, "You okay? Okay, all right." But it was a little difficult, but his spirit was definitely there.
It's supposed to be a funnier moment in the show,
right,
just because it's a misrepresentation of size of the portrait Emily wanted,
right.
But I can imagine in real life that being a little...
It was, yeah, he was definitely missed, but he was there.
That's very sweet. Carla, do you have any fond memories?
Oh, it was just shocking to me, because I didn't actually know that he was that ill, so I just couldn't even believe it. But he was also kind of it wasn't just always the patriarch with the crossword puzzle. He was kind of a fun guy too,
yeah,
and a little nutty sometimes. But lots of fun and just lovely.
That's very sweet. George, well, I guess both of you, but George, I know you were in the revival and played a role in that. When did you learn that was going to happen?
Well, we were on location at the Wilshire Bell shooting something with the British wonderful actress that was very over the top. I forget what her character name was. And I was just sitting there, and then Dan and Amy were there, and they said, "By the way, George, how would you like to play the cemetery representative?" I said, "What? Me?" I said, "Oh, sure." They said, "Okay." And what was really sweet, that they picked out a scene that would be me with the 3 generations of the Gilmore Girls. So literally that day, I had 2 hats on. So I actually wore a hat that said actor, and I had a hat that said coach. And literally what I would do, I was dressed up all in the suit for the cemetery. And it was a long scene, because that was the scene where Rory and Lorelai ended up having to fight by the gravesite.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in the very beginning, just a few lines. So I would, and then Emily and I would kind of march off to go do our thing. As soon as I get off camera, I ran to my seat, put on my coaching hat, and got my notebook, and I'm following the line. So I was working double duty.
You are the hardest working person on Gilmore Girls.
It was fun.
I was going to ask you, were you the dialogue coach on the revival?
I was.
Oh,
I
wow.
was,
Okay.
Yeah, so.
I was going to say by then you'd think people might have it down, but it was also maybe a little rusty.
They wouldn't have needed me, so no, it was great. In fact, I found out, because I think it was Amy said that when they were getting ready to come back, and she called Lauren and everything, she said one of the first things out of Lauren's mouth was, "You're getting George right. George is coming, right?" And they said, "Oh yeah, we couldn't do the show without George."
That's very sweet. What was different for you about working on the revival as a dialogue coach compared to the original series?
Much more relaxed. And I think as you grow older, you become a little bit more grateful. And also, we felt incomplete that the show didn't end. You know, so we thought we were coming back originally to finish off the series, and then it didn't happen. And so at the wrap party, we said, okay, see you, in a few months, and then all of a sudden you hear, we're not coming back. So it was like unfinished business. So coming back, it was like a reunion. It was a whole home week, and having both Amy and Dan directing the episodes, it's much easier for me, so that if anything, there was a question about dialogue, they were right there. I could say, what about, and they were much more relaxed about it. The actors were much more relaxed about it. And everyone was just so happy to come back and to really send the series off properly. Will there be more Gilmore Girls? I don't know.
Question mark. Carla, what did you think about the revival?
I thought it was fabulous, absolutely fabulous. And what George mentioned about working with Amy, I love the episodes that I worked when Amy directed them. And it was just great because she just knew exactly what she wanted. And when she first started, the very first seasons in that, she really didn't have any experience in doing any of this, really. And she certainly never had directed. But through just osmosis, I guess, she really became fabulous at what she did, especially not knowing anything about it prior to that. So you help, I worked with Cher on the first film she directed, and she was another one that she's a seat of the pants type of person that you just, but they pick it up, they're really smart and really good, and even though they may never have done it, they really know what they're doing very soon. And she was great to work with in that, and she always sort of just said, okay, get everybody out of the set, anybody else, and I felt great that she relied on me in that way, so it's good.
And George, I know you teased more episodes, which we have no information on, by the way. We're just talking about. Were you satisfied with the ending? Like, what did you both think about?
No, I want to know who's the daddy.
Okay, let's hash this out for a sec. Doesn't it have to be Logan? Wait, can I pull the room really quick? Wait, can I pull the room? Do you raise your hand if realistically you think the father of Rory's baby is Logan? Raise your hand.
Wait, you have to find out if you want it to be Logan.
Wait, just do you think physically? And raise your hand if you think it's some person we don't know about. No, the Wookiee? Raise your hand for the Wookiee. Guys, raise your hand if you think, maybe Jess. In the scene we didn't see or something? I don't know, I'm Team Jess. So you weren't really...
What about Dean?
Okay. We're gonna go there, but I was just wondering, were you satisfied with where it left off, or do you think...
It was such a cliffhanger, and it was so secretive, the last 4 words, and that no one knew. I found out when they actually shot it, and this is how they did it. They had shot a scene on the gazebo. We were shooting some scene on the gazebo, and then the next thing they were getting ready to do, I thought was going to be another take of the scene, and so I have my headphones on. And then the next thing I hear, I guess everyone knows the final 4 words, so I'm not giving away anything. So then I'm hearing, what, Mom, what? I'm pregnant. And I'm like...
So let me get this straight. The dialogue coach did not know the final 4 words.
It was not on the schedule.
Wow. Was it on the script that you received?
No one. And so the only people that knew, me, the director, the sound people. If you were an extra, because you can't hear, you're just thinking they're doing the scene, to maybe a pickup shot of that scene. And I'm like, and it took me, and then all of a sudden the light bulb went on. I went,
That's great. Well, so I'm curious, do you know if other cast members knew them? Because you'd think, while filming, it's a little nice to have some perspective and context as to where your characters go,
No one, maybe Lauren and Alexis probably knew,
yeah.
And that was it.
That's not unusual. Many shows that I do, my husband came on to Dallas right in the Who Shot JR time, and they had everybody shooting him. And then he was a character actually on General Hospital, Damien, who's killed, and they had every single person in the cast kill him too, so nobody knew who really had killed him. And oftentimes actors have no idea the arc of their story at all. They just, and you know, it helps as from an acting point of view, one would think, but many directors feel that it's better that they don't know. Like in life, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, so you're playing it more realistically. So it's a wide variance, but it happens often.
And George, I know you just told us that very informative story about learning about the final 4 words, but do you have were there any other memorable days on set of the revival that stick out to you or that felt special?
God, I mean, there's just so, I don't think I could think of anything specifically right now, except
Okay.
that it was fun, it was hard. I mean, it was really a hard job. I quit 4 times.
How did they keep getting you back?
Oh, they kept offering me more money. And
That's how you gotta do it.
so I said, oh, okay. And so, and then they finally gave me an assistant so that I could have at least one day off as I was burning out.
Sure.
But it was great. But on the revival, I didn't miss a day. I didn't have any assistants.
I see.
You know, so I did it the whole time.
Did you work with Lauren at all? I'm sure you did, but in the scene where she makes the phone call in the fall episode to Emily,
That long monologue.
I'm assuming you had a role in.
Well, not as much, but I remember Lauren coming up to me and saying,